The sound of tearing paper cracked through Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom like a gunshot, but to understand how it came to that moment, we need to go back 15 minutes earlier, to when Victoria Marie Ashford, 52 years old and dripping with wealth, swept into the courtroom as though she owned the building and everyone inside it. Her Chanel suit likely cost more than most people in the room earned in a month. The Cartier watch on her wrist flashed under the fluorescent lights with each dismissive gesture. Her Hermes handbag swung from her arm like a symbol of superiority, and her Louboutin heels clicked confidently across the tile floor with the assurance of someone who had never heard the word no and believed she never would. She carried a stack of citations in her perfectly manicured hand, glancing at them with the casual disdain most people reserved for junk mail. In her mind, the entire process was simple. She would sit for 10 minutes, listen to a judge drone about responsibility, write a check, and still make it to her noon spa appointment. To her, this was nothing but a minor inconvenience in an otherwise perfectly curated life. But what Victoria Ashford didn't know, what she couldn't possibly understand as she removed her sunglasses with theatrical slowness, was that Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom operated on principles her wealth had never been forced to face. In his court, privilege wasn't armor, it was transparent. And the consequences she was about to face would transform a stack of simple parking violations into a viral moment viewed by millions, and into a personal reckoning that would alter her life forever when the bailiff called the case, the State of Rhode Island versus Victoria Marie Ashford. She approached the defendant's table without even removing her sunglasses, a small but unmistakable gesture of disrespect that Judge Caprio noticed instantly. He greeted her politely, "Good morning, Mrs. Ashford." She sighed loudly, the sigh of someone who believed she had somewhere far more important to be. "Let's just get this over with, Judge. I have a spa appointment at noon." "No, good morning, no, Your Honor," only the casual dismissal of someone accustomed to treating the world as though it existed for her convenience. Judge Caprio's expression remained neutral, though something in his eyes sharpened as he read her file. He informed her she was being charged with her fourth handicapped parking violation in 3 months across multiple locations in Providence. When he asked for her response, she finally removed her sunglasses and tucked them into her bag with careful slowness. "These are nuisance tickets, Your Honor. I park where it's convenient." The gallery stirred with quiet disapproval at the statement. Judge Caprio reminded her calmly that handicapped spaces existed for people with mobility issues and were not suggestions but federally protected requirements. Victoria lounged back in her chair as if bored, insisting she had only been inside 5 minutes each time and dismissing the idea that anyone actually needed the spaces when she used them. Still patient, the judge explained that the law contained no time limit exception for personal convenience. Her smirk deepened. She cited her charitable donations and board positions, implying that her wealth and civic contributions made these violations insignificant in the grand scheme of things. The murmurs in the courtroom grew louder. Judge Caprio acknowledged her charitable work but firmly stated that philanthropy did not entitle her to privileges others did not have. She responded with condescending certainty, "Everything grants privileges when you contribute enough, Your Honor. That's how the world works." Judge Caprio placed both hands on the bench, a sign seasoned observers recognized as his patience being tested, and then began reviewing her violation history. Her first citation occurred at Providence General Hospital, where she had parked in a wheelchair van access space. She waved the explanation away, saying she wasn't going to hike from the back lot for a 15-minute visit. Her second violation happened at Kim's Market, where her car blocked the only handicapped spot and interfered with a delivery truck. Again she shrugged, the driver could have waited. Her third violation occurred at City Hall, where she told Officer Rodriguez, "I'm here on business, not charity." The courtroom froze at the quote. She defended herself by claiming her words were taken out of context. The judge corrected her, explaining that City Hall had loading zones available and she had chosen to occupy a federally protected space instead. She argued again that handicapped spaces sat empty half the day and were an inefficient use of valuable parking. Before the judge could respond, he called forward Mr. Robert Chen, a 67-year-old disabled Vietnam veteran with 2 artificial hips. Chen recounted his experience at Kim's market that same afternoon. He had circled the lot for 20 minutes because her Mercedes occupied the only handicapped space. Forced to park far away, he experienced severe hip pain, had to rest on a curb for 15 minutes, and missed his pharmacy window, leaving him without pain medication for the evening. Victoria watched him with barely concealed impatience. When she muttered that she didn't know anyone was waiting, Mr. Chen replied gently, "You didn't look. That's different from not seeing." The judge then displayed bodycam footage of her violations. In the first video, at Kim's market, she told Officer Rodriguez, "Do I look handicapped to you?" This is bureaucratic nonsense. In the second video, filmed at the hospital, she refused to move her car even when a family with a wheelchair-bound child needed the van access space. Her cold response, "They can wait 5 minutes," left the family sitting in the cold for 12 minutes. When the lights came back on, Judge Caprio informed her the child had muscular dystrophy. Victoria snapped that she was being portrayed as a monster. When she refused multiple instructions to sit down, the courtroom gasped. She launched into a tirade about too many handicapped spaces and the tiny percentage of people who need them. Her own lawyer buried his head in his hands. Then came the moment no one expected. Enraged, Victoria tore a $3,240 check she had written for the fines, ripping it in half, then tearing it again, and threw the pieces onto the table like confetti from the world's most expensive tantrum. For 3 solid seconds, the courtroom didn't move. The bailiff stepped forward, the gallery erupted, and her lawyer nearly wilted. When Judge Caprio finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper, "Mrs. Ashford, did you just tear up a check and throw it in my courtroom?" She admitted she had, calling the proceeding a farce. The judge calmly informed her she had just committed contempt of court. She laughed, insisting it was just tearing paper. The judge read aloud text messages showing she expected her husband's influence to make tickets disappear, as well as a message saying, "We donate enough to this city to own those spots." He also displayed her Instagram post of her car parked in a handicapped space with the caption, "When you're running late and regular parking is for regular people," accompanied by a crown emoji. When she claimed it was just a joke, the judge replied, "It means everything." He then issued his ruling. Her 4 violations totaled $1,000, late fees added $425, court costs another $315. Contempt added $500, so penalty for expecting special treatment added $500, her celebratory Instagram post added $1,500, blocking the wheelchair-accessible space added $750, and her statement minimizing the needs of disabled citizens added another $1,000. The total, $6,240. But, as the judge explained, money clearly means nothing to you. He sentenced her to 200 hours of community service at the Providence Disabled Veterans Center under Mr. Chen's supervision. He suspended her vehicle registration for 6 months so she would experience firsthand what limited mobility feels like. She protested that she had obligations and events to attend. The judge replied she would find alternative transportation, as millions of Americans do.